And now it's time for the After the Show, and we have a continuation of the Battle of the Bald Guys.
There you go.
Well, you know, I'm so glad about that very last segment we did, because I got hit up by Erica, the chief of makeup here. Apparently, I'm going back in there to buy a bunch of Girl Scout cookies.
Well, you have to.
So now I know I have some healthy alternatives,
That's right.
Mama.
Gluten-free alternative. I've been begging them
bored
for
with the
years.
gluten-free.
They're going to be great.
I'm more into the whole grains than the white grains.
Listen, when it comes to girl, it's all about, let me be Dr. Manning for a second. It's all about moderation. One of the finest things, one of the wonders of the world.
Yes.
The Thin Mint. The Thin Mint cookie.
Thin Mint
You put the Thin Mints in the freezer. You take them out every once in a while. It's like,
I just
one bite. Please, you've got a good bite.
The Thin Mint to the York Peppermint Patty.
One comes
the
with
Thin
a
Mint
really
kicks
cold
its butt.
gust of air.
I'm sorry.
You think the Thin Mint kicks the Peppermint Patty's butt?
I do.
Do you remember that commercial where you bite into the York?
It was great.
That
Wait a
really
minute.
happens.
The Peppermint Patty does not have a butt to kick, but if it did.
Talk about a brand, though.
Let's have a taste off.
We should have a taste of. Talk about a brand. These kids and their mentors have achieved, like, everybody knows what those are.
Yeah.
Right? Most companies can't do that. I like that. I like the entrepreneurial spirit in the Girl Scouts. How many kids learned about being entrepreneurs
got an
at the Girl
entrepreneurial
Scouts?
Good. I
right?
think
You have an entrepreneurial spirit about
Girl Scout?
everything.
I wasn't, but my
You do.
mom,
Well,
my
you've got
grandmother.
to sell people
They were always a
on
Girl
being
Scout.
reborn,
Yeah.
right? Transforming
Wait a minute,
themselves.
you have
It's
to
a
sell
sales
people on
function.
being reborn.
It's a sales function.
Aren't
My
those the people
work
on the
is
corner
essentially
handing out this-
I've been trying to work with you
I
for
know.
how long?
I know.
I
Like
still
4
can't
years.
sell him rational thought. I can't sell him on being emotionally developed enough to agree with me during most of our segments.
Well, but see,
and that's my measure.
But it's supposed to be
Do
a
you
battle.
agree?
If you guys agreed, it would be dull. The way it is now,
It
you guys
certainly
get
isn't
together, and it's
dull.
very exciting.
It certainly isn't dull, because he's good enough to come with wrong-minded ideas every single time.
Guaranteed,
It's amazing.
right?
How could we arrive at
I made you think today. I stopped. You
For 4
actually
seconds,
intellectually paused on the couch over
It
there.
was a visual description
It
of
was-
what you gave.
What you saw
That's
in
what I
that
have to do in
moment.
jury. I have to paint a
Let me
picture.
tell you what you saw, because it's rare. You saw intellectual honesty.
Oh,
Displayed.
Man,
Yes, because I
where
actually
the hell are my
tried
hip
to
waders?
think, could Arthur be making sense? I want to give him every opportunity as the judge here. And ultimately I said,
Now
you know
you're
what?
the judge.
Yeah, he's the judge now.
You know what?
Ultimately, the verdict came in
the thing about
no.
Keith Abloh, though, he does have this air of superiority because he is a doctor. And he,
that's what they
but
say.
keep in mind,
I haven't
you're
verified
a
it.
Juris Doctor.
Yeah,
What
I
the
don't
heck's the
think of it like
difference?
that.
Yeah,
There you go.
Battle of the
You know, I
Doctors.
have to say about your segments, it is very often that your segments end and we continue the conversation into the break. That's how fiery you two get. And frankly, you both can make some excellent
really can.
points. And you can see both sides of an issue when I hear you both doing a segment.
You told me like my arguments are ridiculous.
No, in
I'm
general.
coming off the thing. She goes, you know, Arthur, your arguments are ridiculous.
No.
Good morning, Heather. Happy New Year. How's the family? It's so good to see you. You look so pretty today. Now, what were you saying?
She was being honest.
I was just saying, in general, when you two have your segments, I can understand both sides. But today, I said, Arthur, that point was really
I just don't
ridiculous that you made.
think, as I said, I don't think that politicians should be telling parents
Of course.
how to treat their
But
children.
we've
This
already
stems from
crossed
the
that bridge.
17-year-old who wants to avoid chemotherapy. 17-year-old girl in Connecticut who
Wants to
said doesn't
avoid
want chemotherapy for
chemotherapy.
Hodgkin's lymphoma. Her mother agrees and supports her decision. She's actually run away to avoid it, and the government has stepped in,
But
forcing
they
her
are
right now on her
treating it.
second
That's the thing.
treatment.
It's not
It's
like
not-
they just said, we're going to sit here and see what happens.
No, she's on her second
but
treatment right now.
Listen, there are outlying cases that test the state's power and appropriately give most of the authority to parents. The lion's share belong to parents. But this is such an outlying case. This is
It's
not,
like the Terry Schiavo case.
What do you think as a mom, Heather?
it's not even it's
one.
not even close, because this
But
girl
we're-
has a huge
They wanted to
chance
take-
of complete survival for the rest of her life. She'll live into old age, we hope. Knock on wood, right?
Use my hand if you want.
But I could. But here's the thing. You know, the parents, in saying this chemotherapy, it kills all the cells in your body. They obviously have a wrong-minded idea about what chemotherapy
Well,
is.
it's not
and
totally
they're sending out a
wrong-minded.
message to other young people. This is poison. This is terrible.
You know,
No,
I
it's
think-
medicine. This is great.
Let me ask you this. What if they objected on religious grounds?
Keith?
Would they have a case?
If they objected on religious grounds for
Because
themselves as adults, I would
Christian-
say hands off these folks. They've demonstrated a long history of religious belief.
Right.
As to their child, I'd say sorry. As to your child, we don't let kids die in this country because their parents are of one faith or another. That's the way we run the country. If you don't like that,
But you're
you select
interfering with
another
that
one.
family's religious beliefs.
We are. Yes, we would be.
You know,
So
and
he's
at
willing to
times-
cross
You're
that
saying
line.
the cause is
All right, Heather's
greater.
up. I want to hear
In other
a
words,
ridiculous argument.
if there's a religion,
Come on, Heather.
if there's a religion that gets started that says don't feed your children, and there are crazy religions too that are called religions, get 501c3 status as religions, I would say that's well and good for you folks. You believe these things. We're not going to trample on you. But as to your kids, the state has a vested interest in them not being hurt by you. And it's a tough.
We're now
arena,
going to hear
but
what Heather has to
Well,
say.
you know,
because
at a time when more and more states, like we've seen with Washington State, and I believe it's Oregon, start to support where doctors can assist in suicide, as we saw with the case of that
Which
young
I
girl
oppose.
who had the brain tumor.
Right.
When we are talking about states supporting that culture of death, I'm happy to see some judges and some states supporting the culture of life. And this is a minor we're talking about. It's not an adult, and I think there's a huge difference in that.
And sometimes, sometimes there are wake-up calls for kids. Kids 17, kids 15, kids 13, where maybe if this young woman is listening, she'll say, wait a second, they're fighting awfully hard for me to live. They're going to court. The state is.
But
what is it with my
here's
parents?
the flaw in your argument.
Because it's a very
Here's the flaw in your
strange
argument. If you
our
read the
parents are
story,
making.
they're not saying we're not going to treat this. They're saying we're not going to treat it with chemotherapy. We're going to treat
Are
it with different types of holistic things and through diet
they
and through
proven?
exercise.
That's what I would want to know. I would just look at statistically.
The thing
Are
is,
those proven to give your
there are
daughter the
different ways
best
to
chance
treat
of life?
cancer in Europe and other parts of the world.
Some people
that
do
don't
not
have to
do
do
the
with chemotherapy.
Right, they absolutely
Yes,
not.
but in the case of Hodgkin's lymphoma,
And you're
the
saying it's so
regimen
easily
is-
treatable.
well,
It's
we
clear. There's
God
a-
willing, we wish this girl the best if she is treated, and I hope she will be. But this is established. The protocols are known, and they're highly successful. So the idea of juicing or the rest of it doesn't make sense for her.
That's why we love this segment, because you guys do have to take opposite sides. You make great defenses. Now you want to hug it out?
We don't. Wait a minute. We don't make. I was told by Heather, who's the judge here, I'm ridiculous. So
That was not the word I used, was it?
That's not a
Was it?
problem.
She said ridiculous.
Battle of the Bald Guys next week, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Very respectful.